For more on all this is Lara Trump. She's the co-chair of the RNC. Let's start with DOGE because I think there's just so much excitement around it. One, you have two very interesting characters who are not working for any money. They're saying, let's just get this done. We had somebody on yesterday saying that there's young tech people all over the country now saying they want to help and work with the government now, especially under Elon and Vivek. And even Lara, Senator Fetterman said there might be some virtue here. Let's listen to him and get your reaction.
I mean, I don't know why it's controversial to eliminate waste, but that's not exactly an original idea either. I mean, how many different administrations is that all have that kind of a conversation, all those things? So, I mean, that's not revolutionary, it's not controversial, and I think anybody could support making our government more efficient and saving whatever money that we can.
And I think this excitement comes, Lara, from people believing that actually this time it could work.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Dana. Great to be with you guys. And listen, you got to think back for a second to Donald Trump in his first term in office. He did something like moving the American embassy, by the way, to Jerusalem, which so many presidents before him said they wanted to do. Donald Trump got it done. A peace agreement in the Middle East. Donald Trump got it done. If there is anyone who could take a situation like reducing our federal government, paring it back, and actually doing the right thing here, I believe it's Donald Trump. And I do think people are so excited about this. Look, over the past several years, our country has watched as our money has gone overseas to fight wars that, you know, we don't even involve ourselves in and don't want to be involved in. Watched as we've spent, I think, Elon himself said the other day, $150 billion a year on illegal immigrants who have come here to this country. This is something the people are desperate to see happen. And I actually believe this is the time. If things happen in the way that I think so many of us are hopeful to see happen, I believe we are upon the most transformational period in our country's history, basically since our inception. Donald Trump calls it the golden age of America, but it starts with DOGE. It starts with giving the taxpayers, you know, more for their money and not wasteful spending, not the fraud, not the abuse. I actually believe we're going to see some incredible things happen.
Okay, another topic here, political. Here's the headline. Some are fearing retribution on behalf of your father-in-law when he goes back to the White House. Biden White House discussing preemptive pardons for those in Trump's crosshairs. Now, there's no evidence that anyone's requested that pardon, and there's some debate as to whether or not it's even legal. But when people ask you about the retribution aspect, how do you respond to that?
Well, Bill, Donald Trump himself said that success will be his revenge. If there's anyone who understands how egregious it is to have the politicization of our systems against one individual, it is Donald Trump. And I think one of the reasons that the people of this country overwhelmingly came out and supported him is because they want to be able to trust these fundamental institutions like our Department of Justice again. He does not plan on retribution. He plans on restoring trust and faith of the American people into so many of these foundational elements of our country. And so I would say, look, if anyone has done anything wrong, then maybe they should be worried, not because of Donald Trump, because maybe they've broken the law. But, you know, when it comes to Donald Trump, I think people are actually going to be very surprised to see how he operates, because there has been so much fear mongering. There's been so many scare tactics when it comes to Donald Trump. We remember how he was the first term in office. He didn't start World War III. He was actually the first president in 82 years not to start a new war, not to get America into a new war. And much in the same way, I think people are going to see very quickly that this is a man who really just wants to go in there and take charge of this country as the American people mandated. You know, secure our border, bring down inflation, get us out of wars, and do the right things for America. He has no intention on retribution or revenge.
Lara, there was a really big case yesterday heard in front of the Supreme Court. The Biden administration pushed back against Tennessee, which has a law that banned the treatment of minors for sex reassignment surgery. And one of the justices that was put forward by Biden is Justice Brown Jackson. And she compared the Tennessee law banning gender transitions for minors to past laws banning interracial marriage. Listen.
Some of these questions about sort of who decides and the concerns and legislative prerogatives, et cetera, sound very familiar to me. They sound in the same kinds of arguments that were made back in the day 50s, 60s with respect to racial classifications and inconsistencies. I'm thinking in particular about Loving, and I'm wondering whether you've thought about the parallels, because I see one, as to how this statute operates and how the anti-miscegenation statutes in Virginia operated.
To that, or to the bigger point, Lara, how does the Trump team see this case?
Well, I can tell you how I see it as a mom. Like, I have kids who are 5 and 7 years old, and I think what we're specifically talking about here are minors, are children. And when you look at some of the impact of, you know, some of these drugs that are being given to kids, some of the irreversible procedures performed upon them, it's very frightening for a lot of parents out there. I think that comparison is wildly outrageous, personally. But I can tell you that, you know, all Republicans typically want is to protect our kids. We should never be performing procedures or giving drugs to our children in the United States that are going to do them harm and going to do permanent damage to them. And I do think that a lot of people are talking about the fact that maybe this is a state's issue. Maybe that's ultimately where it ends up. But it is a very hot button topic for a lot of people. There seems to be a big shift in this direction to try to push kids, you know, into this transgender ideology. And it is very frightening, I think, for a lot of parents right now.
We'll see what the courts decides. Quickly here, Michael Whatley, you worked very close with him, successfully, I would argue, after the election. We know that he will stay as chairman of the RNC or a co-chair. What's your future? What's your next role?
Oh, the big question, Bill, the easy one at the end.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm so lucky because I did work with an incredible team. We did succeed in doing everything we set out to do. We obviously had this overwhelming win for Donald Trump. And I'm trying to figure out what my future looks like right now. I'm fortunate that I have a lot of things potentially in front of me. And as soon as I make a decision, I promise to let everybody know.
Give us a call.
Yeah, officially, are you a resident of North Carolina? Or are you officially a resident of Florida?
I'm an official resident of Florida for 3.5 years.
Bill, let her go.
There might be a hint there. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Thank you, Lara. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Nice to see you.
Thank you, guys.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.